Hey, how's it going, everybody? Charlie Wilson here, aka Sinister Charlie. Welcome back. Hi, it's good to see you again. So we've got some more Umamusume stuff, stuff. The chaotic history of horse game that took over the world. Um, it's also known as Pretty Derby. This is by Mujin. Mujin does some really good videos, good deep dives on different stuff. Usually it's drama related, but we got some horse girls and we're going to watch the horse girls and we're going to have a good time. So yeah, let's go.
Meet Jiankui He,
Hi.
a Chinese scientist who had created a genetically
Ni hao.
modified baby, breaking every ethical law regarding genetic research and being sentenced to jail for 3 years back in 2019. After being released, he would somewhat disappear for a while until he got access to social media, most namely Twitter. And in classic supervillain fashion, he would tweet out, "Every pioneer or prophet must suffer," while staring intently at the camera, all while continuing his genetic research like nothing had
Horse girls, I guess. I don't know.
happened. This would, of course, make him go viral. But what were people's reactions here? Were they shocked? Were they outraged? Were they scared? No, they kept spamming him, pestering him even, with one request. Eventually, there will be so many people requesting the same thing that he had to make an entire post responding to it, saying, "Stop asking for cat girls. I'm trying to cure disease." This dude was sentenced to jail for creating genetically modified babies and forging the ethical paperwork. But the only thing people were concerned with was cat girls.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it comes as no surprise, guys. Anime girls have taken over the world. But look, if the movie Ratatouille has taught me anything in life, it's that things are better when combined together. And so some of the most intelligent people on planet Earth saw cats and thought, wow, this is really cute and adorable, like anime girls. Why don't we combine them and create cat girls? The result?
As you do.
A massive success. This, of course, made even more people think, until a particular group of people came up with a very interesting idea. They thought, well, look, humans love cats, right? I'm sure they love dogs too, but what's one animal that's been with us since the beginning? An animal humans share a very important bond with: horses. So listen to this genius idea, right? What if we took anime girls and gave them horse ears and horse tails? Then we would put all these cute anime horse girls together on a track and have them race just like horses do during horse races. But get this, okay? Things don't end here, because these horse girls are living a double life. When they're not racing on the horse track, they're idols, dancing and singing in top-tier performances to a massive audience. Sounds absolutely insane, right? I mean, seriously, horse girls, anime horse girls racing on a track. You've got to be shitting me, man. The concept of gacha games is already niche, and horse girls in a gacha game, you won't find anyone to play this. Nope, I was severely wrong. Look at this chart just on Steam, with a peak of 87,000 people playing at the same time. That's not all, though. The game hasn't even been out for 1 month globally and has already reached over 1 million downloads on the Google Play Store. Still not surprised? The game has gotten so popular on Steam that it has beaten every single game on the platform to claim the #1 spot for most downloaded games in this current period. Now, you might be thinking, okay, fine, maybe it's like this mass hysteria going on. Maybe this concept is so ridiculous people downloaded it, but then realized, it's not really for me, right? Look at these reviews. 94% very positive, with almost 15,000 reviews on Steam. This game didn't just get downloaded a lot, it's now critically acclaimed. But if you're still somehow not shocked yet, well, get this. Gacha games are typically liked by a very specific demographic.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. Hey, you got me.
Young adults who usually love anime. When it came to this horse girl gacha racing game, though, it reached children, their parents, and their grandparents, doing the impossible and targeting every single conceivable demographic. Guys, it doesn't matter where you go. The metro, the airport, your office, you will most likely see someone playing this on their phone. I say this with no exaggeration. Umamusume Pretty Derby has taken over the planet, and I haven't seen a gacha gacha game do this since Genshin Impact back during the pandemic. But if this still doesn't shock you for whatever reason, then get ready to get sucker punched in the face. Because that's exactly what happened to me when I started seeing headlines like this. Umamusume developer Cygames is a title sponsor for Grand Prix de Paris, a prestigious horse racing event founded in 1863. An event being held.
I think they did, or they're doing some stuff with the Denver Broncos. I saw something about it. I'm a big Denver Broncos fan. I grew up in Aurora for a little bit, but yeah, I heard something about it. I'm not sure how true it is though.
For almost 2 centuries. And their logo just happens to be on an image of an anime girl that is also a horse. What the fuck is going on? And how did we get here? Well, none of it was straightforward, and this game almost failed to release. Umamusume Pretty Derby has a somewhat chaotic but also very interesting history. And seeing how it's practically dominated the world, I figured we need to talk about it. So let's do this.
We can.
Man, horses are such silly animals, but you know what other animals I like? Warships, warplanes, and war tanks, baby. And the best part about this is that I can find all these vehicles and 2,500 other
we're
dealing with here.
I watch a lot of Fat Electricians, so I'm pretty sure I know what this is. All right.
More available for PC and consoles. So if you're interested, make sure to get the game for free by clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment. Thank you so much, War Thunder, for sponsoring this video. Alright guys, by now, you know the drill. To really understand the significance of all this, we need context, and in this case, it's going to be a little history lesson. And we're going all the way back to the year 1603, the beginning of the Tokugawa period, otherwise known as the Edo period. This period would be the most traditional period in Japan, mostly because
I've seen Last Samurai, okay, I get it. I still haven't seen Shogun yet, though. I heard that's pretty good.
It would be incredibly isolated from the rest of the world. The people in power at the time feared outside influence. In fact, their biggest fear was Christianity. You'd have missionaries from European countries come in to spread the gospel, and people were converting fast. The Japanese leaders saw this as a way for Europe to slowly take control of Japan, so they took extreme measures. They completely locked down the country except for a select few traders who only had access to specific ports. Japanese people were not allowed to leave Japan, and if they did, they wouldn't be allowed back. And more importantly, Christianity was outlawed. The shogunate took extreme measures and massacred over 37,000 Japanese Christians, making it go almost extinct in Japan and ruling for over 2 centuries. This would all change in 1868, when the Tokugawa shogunate would lose its power and the Meiji Restoration would take its place. One could say that this period was the opposite of the Tokugawa shogunate's military rule, completely opening up the country, technologically advancing very quickly, and fully embracing the idea of an industrialized nation that can compete with Europe and North America. That way, they don't face the threat of colonization. During this new era, you'd start seeing more foreigners in Japan, like British and Americans, specifically around port towns. Their numbers would start becoming significant to the point where they'd start having their own communities built around those port towns. This is where, to kill time, Westerners would start playing the sports they knew, like rugby, cricket, and of course, baseball, which is now the most popular sport in Japan today. But according to the 500-page book titled Routledge Companion to Sports History, which outlines the origins of sports all around the world, horse racing in Japan was introduced as early as 1862 by those same Westerners. And within just 8 years, the first jockey club in Kobe was formed in 1870. You see, the Japanese, much like the rest of the world, also had a special connection to horses. They also loved the idea of entertainment. So they latched onto the sport very quickly, as you can see from this old drawing. Japanese people are on their horses about to race, but the people organizing it can be seen on the left here, and they're foreigners, they're Westerners. Today, it's seen as a prestigious sport, with the Japan Cup having some of the highest prize pools on the planet, and the Japanese taking the sport very seriously, wanting to compete on even footing with foreign horses. Right now, the prize pool for the Japan Cup is about $8.3 million, with first place claiming $3.8 million. And even though horse racing was seen as such an important sport in Japan, there was a problem. Interest was kind of waning. When you go to a horse track, you'd mostly see men who are in the older demographics. You wouldn't see teenagers.
Yeah, I went to a horse race once when I was a little kid. My grandpa took me and my brother. It's a fun time, I guess. If you like
young
gambling,
adults, kids, or even women that much. In a way, if things kept going this way, then the sport would
Excuse
have
me.
probably died out in a couple of generations. It was simply seen as too old-fashioned. But all of this would change when a particular
Yay.
studio came up with a ridiculous idea. An idea, actually, that almost ruined their company's reputation and potentially could have bankrupted them. I'm of course talking about Umamusume Pretty Derby. Cyber Agent is a Japanese company that was founded in 1998. They started out as a digital advertising company, but in 2011, they decided to expand in the ever-growing video game market. This is when they would create Cygames, a video game development studio. Cyber Agent would own the majority of the shares of Cygames, but sell a few to other companies, like for example, Nintendo, who owns 5% of Cygames. They would go on to create some pretty well-received games, like Shadowverse, a digital
Never heard of
collectible
it.
card game, and of course, Grand Blue Fantasy,
Maybe I've
which
heard
was
of it.
critically
I'm
acclaimed.
not sure.
But arguably, Cygames' most important game would end up being one of the first ones they'd ever release in 2011, titled The Idolmaster Cinderella Girls. This
Okay.
game would be a part of the massive franchise known as The Idolmaster, owned by Bandai Namco, with the first ever game coming out in 2005. Many games for this franchise would release, and in 2011, that's when Cygames would release The Idolmaster Cinderella Girls. They made this on behalf of Bandai Namco. What was special about this game is that it was made for mobile phones. Back in 2011, Namco was seeing the rise of mobile games, and so that's when they asked
2011. That's when I got out of the Navy. I didn't think phones were that advanced back then. Well, I guess the iPhone. I had a Droid and had a flip out keyboard. Yeah, so I guess the iPhone came out in like 2006, I guess, or something like that, huh? Or 2008, I can't remember.
Cygames to help. The premise was simple. You'd collect a bunch of idol girls and you would
Excuse me.
train them,
Very
raising
sick.
their stats through lessons. You would then be able to do a number of things, like customize their outfits and even spend money on cosmetics. There would also be many different minigames, including a multiplayer game mode where you can fight other players. The player with the most stats wins. Overall, it was simple, but extremely successful. This game was earning more than 1 billion yen a month. Back then, that was around
Alright.
$13 million.
Jeebus.
It was revealed that
A
more than
month.
75% of players who got the game chose to pay for either in-game items or energy in order to play more. And according to this article, in August 2012, the game had made 9 million USD, which is more than the cost of developing the
Jeebus.
game. This game was making more money monthly than it cost to make. And all it did was just feature a bunch of idols that you trained, upped their stats, and got them different outfits. But you see, Bandai Namco is truly taking this franchise to the next level. It started as an arcade game, they made a mobile game, and they also made a manga as well as an anime that adapted that same manga. They were essentially using this franchise to build a media empire, and it was working very damn well. They would continue to hire more developers to create more entries in this franchise,
That's
and
a
the most
lot.
recent release would be in 2024,
Never even heard of it.
so it's still doing pretty damn well. This is when Cygames would have some sort of an epiphany. Even though this was owned by Bandai Namco, they were the ones who made this extremely successful game. And I mean, it made sense. Why wouldn't a game like that be a success? The idol industry in Japan is probably one of the biggest, most successful
Baby metal,
industries
of
in
course.
entertainment. It involved finding someone young with talent, absolutely destroying their lives with ridiculously rigid training, and
Yeah, the idol industry in Japan might rival that of Hollywood. They get very young girls and they put them in these groups, and it's all so produced, and yeah, it's kind of sad, but I don't know. People like it, I guess.
extremely unrealistic expectations, and once they get enough popularity, this is when you would milk their fans with a bunch
There you
of different
go.
media and merchandise. People will do anything for their idols. They'll literally buy a photo album of them, okay? This is why the idol industry is such a money printing
Sorry.
machine. But here's a fun fact for you. When it comes to horse racing in the West, certain jockeys, who are the horse riders, might have fans. Sure, the horses that they ride also might have fans, but it wasn't anything crazy. In Japan, on the other hand, the horses had fans, all right.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had their own merch. They were recognized by name. Some even had superstitions made around them. I mean, this is just a
Oh,
talented Japanese people.
Yeah, that's the horse that never wins. I know some of the lore to it, but not so much. Not a whole lot.
People have to idolize anything they like. And as much as this sounded ridiculous, there was
Hey, gold
big
ship.
market potential here. Cygames had made a very successful idle game, and yet horse racing was a deeply historical aspect of Japanese culture while also having those same idle traits. You know what else is interesting? When it comes to entertainment,
Gambling.
the idle industry is very profitable, sure, but one thing Japanese people love to do is gamble,
go.
baby. A Japanese person not knowing pachinko is like an American
I also love to gamble.
and not knowing what a burger is.
Huh?
At this point, it's practically cultural. I mean, look, it goes without saying that horse racing was very popular in Japan because of the whole gambling aspect of it. And now you can gamble on a simulated horse race. It's not even real. And you place your bets on this
awesome.
spaceship looking machine, bro. This looks insane. That's how much they love it. And finally, just like how idols and gambling are huge in the entertainment industry in Japan, we can't forget to talk about anime. And in the early
Of course
2000s,
not.
many artists were having the amazing idea of giving anime girls cat ears or just small animal features. Not to mention that there were already examples in media taking this a step further. Instead of giving them animal features, they would give them features of objects. Like how the game Azur Lane has you collect these hot anime women
Oh,
that are
yeah,
meant to
yeah,
be
yeah.
World War II battleships.
That's
I'm not
funny.
even joking, bro.
awesome.
Look, this woman's called Azuma,
Yeah, she's a battleship already.
and she's part of the large cruiser category. She's stationed in the camp Sakura Islands. This is meant to be a battleship, bro, like an actual boat. You understand?
No, I get it.
And man, does she have some big cannons, let me tell you that much.
Hey,
So I don't know who the
alright.
genius at Cygames was, bro. It could be the CEO, it could be a producer. Someone had the brilliant idea to sit everyone down and say, hey, what if we combined all these elements together, right? For the gambling, we make a gacha game. For the anthropomorphic cat girl part, we make horse girls. And for the idol part, we base them off the most famous
Word up.
horses in Japan, while also making them sing and dance, because why not? Now, be honest, if you were one of those people listening to this pitch, would you have signed off on this? Because it
Yes.
obviously sounds ridiculous, right? Most people probably wouldn't have. But Cygames had top-tier drugs in their office
there you
because you
go.
know what? They said
I think I said that in the other video too. These guys must have been on drugs. Lots of good drugs.
yes. They then wasted no time getting started on developing the game, revealing it for the first time on the 21st of August 2016 at the Anime Japan Expo. Excitement for this game was actually already starting to build up, and that made more people want to know more details about Umamusume. So on January 2017, the main content producer of Cygames, Akihiro Ishihara, was asked a bunch of different questions during an interview, and one of them was, please tell us about the development status. And he said, this game is about 25% complete. Keep that number in mind. But for
right
now,
then.
this interview
I
had
will.
also revealed many of the horse girl designs, as well as the famous horses they're based on. It seemed like they knew what they were doing. And they had learned their lessons with Bandai Namco. They were going the Idolmaster route, not just aiming to make one good game, they wanted to make a media empire around Umamusume. So just a couple months after that interview in March 2017, they released a manga. But they weren't done yet because they wanted to adapt this manga into an anime.
Okay, yeah, I would actually like to read the manga. Maybe before I watch the anime. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I should go about it, but yeah, it looks fun.
And we're going to enlist the studio PA Works to do it. The plan was to release this anime in 2018 in parallel to the game's release. That way both would help each other and they would start off with a strong symbiotic media empire. That was the plan, except nothing, and I mean nothing in regards to release dates went according to plan.
It never does.
The Umamusume Pretty Derby anime would release on April 1st, 2018. It wasn't just limited to Japan, it had a simulcast with Crunchyroll in select regions of the world. It was almost an instant success. Similarly to how people love the idea of cat girls, the idea of horse girls was also very well received. But a couple of aspects that it was really praised for
like that.
were one, its attention to detail.
Yeah, I found out about the phone thing. I thought that was really like very creative because they got horse ears up there. How are they supposed to hear anything through that phone?
And two, it's very skilled world building. But we'll get to that later. Right now, there's a more pressing concern going on.
Absolutely.
As the anime was running, the game would release 3 more teasers on April 19th. It showcased a race, a live show, and a story/training section. I can't show you those videos because they've been privated, but overall, it seemed like everything was going according to plan, with the game scheduled to release around the end of 2018. This would be confirmed again on July 2018, with yet another trailer showing off the game and its mechanics, announcing at the end that it was going to release at the end of 2018. As people were waiting, wondering when the game was going to come out, Cygames took their sweet time and only announced on December 15th, 2018, literally the end of the year, that Umamusume Pretty Derby has been delayed in order to raise the game's quality, saying that they will reveal the new release period at a later.
Yeah, you hate to see that with games. They get released too early. What, Cyberpunk, and then No Man's Sky as well. Yeah, you just wait. Yeah.
Date. I mean, okay, not a big deal. I mean, it would have been nice if you told us earlier, but one delay doesn't hurt, especially if the game's going to be better for it, right? Well, the game got delayed again in 2019.
Sure.
And the new release date was slated to be in 2020. Now, CyberAgent is a publicly listed company, and just like any publicly listed company, they would have shareholder meetings. So in their third quarter shareholder meeting in 2020, they re-emphasized to their investors that Umamusume Pretty Derby was going to be released in 2020, confirming that fact. Just a couple of months earlier, in May 2020, the managing director of Cygames confirmed yet again that Umamusume Pretty Derby was releasing in 2020. But then we got to December 2020 and the game was nowhere to be found. But yet again, in the final shareholder meeting of the year on December 12th, investors would be told that this game is still on track to release in 2020, but there were 2 weeks left in the year. It was safe to say that after previous delays, people weren't just thinking, oh, this game's going to be delayed again. They were also thinking, is this game ever going to release? How can you say in an interview in the beginning of 2017 that the game's almost—
There's that 25 number again. He told us to remember, and I did.
25% done with a 2018 release date, and yet here we are 2 years later, barely able to make the release. Usually this means that the game has no direction, that Cygames is dealing with an internal disaster. And what really reinforced this narrative is the fact that the game didn't even come out in 2020. We had reached 2021 and the game still had not released yet. It was only on February 24th, 2021 that the game had finally released in Japan. And while it was cool that the game had finally come out, people didn't really know whether to be excited or worried. Especially with how Cyberpunk 2077 had released just a couple months earlier, and even though it's been delayed multiple times, had one of the worst launches in history. But you know what? As hard as it was to believe, this was not the case with Umamusume Pretty Derby. People were so addicted to the damn thing, they couldn't stop playing. The gameplay loop definitely took inspiration from their work on Idolmaster. Your horses, or horse anime girls, would have 5 different stats that you would train them on. You'd also have many different minigames and many ways to interact with your roster. You would then have your horse, or horse girl, race, competing against others in a bid to win first place. These races would make your heart beat like crazy because there was always a chance that one of the horse girls could use a special ability, including your own, like you're seeing right here. You could be losing a race, and then your horse will all by themselves decide to do this in order to win. It just depends on their mood and how you've treated them. One could even say that this was more exciting than IRL horse racing thanks to all these factors. But the game wasn't over with just one horse girl. Eventually, that horse girl would retire, just like IRL horses, kicking off the inheritance mechanic, just like real life. Here's an example. This is the family tree of the very famous horse, Goldchip. As you can see, this is probably more complex than my own family tree, and I'm a human. It rivals the family tree of like some royalty from the 1600s or something. This is all done with the goal of creating the most genetically engineered monster that can dominate any race. And that's what you kind of do in Umamusume as well. The hard work that you put into your now retired horse girl can now be incorporated into your new horse girl by using her as one of her coaches. So in a way, you also become more of a genetic scientist and try to create the perfect horse girl after many different runs. This gameplay loop was so addicting, it was like playing a civilization game, screaming one more turn as the police is confiscating your phone from you because you haven't eaten in 3 days. People couldn't stop playing it. But as this game became so popular in Japan, it started somewhat suffering from success, you could say. You see, usually, the people who own some of the best racehorses in the world happen to be some very wealthy and successful people. Seeing that Umamusume's characters are based on real-life horses, they had to go and ask each of these owners their permission to have them in the game. The owners agreed to do that free of charge, not charging any money. This was seen as a very cool and kind gesture.
Very cool.
But here's the thing. These weren't just horses. These were anime girls that were, in many cases, pretty. And usually when you present Japan with a pretty anime girl, they will instinctively almost want to draw some pretty lewd fan art. That was a
When has that ever happened? Oh, all the time? Okay, sorry.
problem. Cygames knew it was a problem, so they created very specific fan-created content guidelines, outlining rules saying you can't make fan art with the intent to injure the reputation of this franchise or other third parties. You can't do any lewd stuff.
I'm American. I think I'll do whatever the hell I want. Whatever the heck I want.
You can't do any violent stuff. The owners of these horses did not want to see their horses participate in anything like that. It was a red line for them, but that didn't necessarily make people want to listen. Now, of course, usually if you were to break these rules, Cygames would just send you a takedown notice and sue you if you don't comply. But of course, this would be too boring for a franchise like Umamusume. So some people came up with a rumor that now is regarded as truth in many different circles and has spread like wildfire. If you draw any lewd art of Umamusume girls, the Yakuza will knock on your door and hurt you. Okay, so as far as I can tell, this all started with this stupid tweet. A Japanese person tweeted this out, saying, the reason why Japanese artists can't draw Umamusume porno art is that Umamusume is based on real racehorses and their owners are like mafia bosses who control the Japanese economy and we don't want to offend them. This was tweeted on March 11th, 2021, so very shortly after the game released. Now, I don't know how much attention this initial tweet got, but what really brought attention to this was the second tweet this person would make, saying, please retweet as much as you can for people overseas. It included that original tweet and another image, with that person saying, the content of the tweet and the image is complete bullshit. It is a falsehood that amounts to defamation of the racehorse owners. I have insulted the owners of racehorses and other people involved in horse racing, as well as the staff of the Umamusume project. Racehorse owners are people who are sincerely committed to the culture of horse racing. They are not involved in antisocial organizations. In addition, I tried to make overseas artists complicit in the prohibition of secondary works that significantly worsen the image of the project, which is clearly stated in the official guidelines. This is all due to my short-sightedness and arrogance. I would like to express my deepest apologies to everyone involved and to all those who have supported me. So this apology was definitely overkill to the initial tweet. It was clearly like some kind of a joke, I guess. It was almost like this person had, I don't know, murdered someone. This made people assume that this person got caught by the Yakuza and forced, right?
There's a train going by. I just thought I'd let everybody know. It's a good intermission. Train, go.
Gunpoint to make this apology, because that's what it sounds like. As you can see here, the top comment is, so they found you? And the person said, no, it's not. It's just that I made the wrong statement. Someone else said, I'm guessing they gave you a call. To which this person said, no, it doesn't.
People were still saying Keck in 2021. All right.
Someone said, I'm sorry to hear that the racehorse mafia got to you. Had no idea Japan even had such an intense culture of racehorsing, let alone one run by gangsters. And that person replied with, please don't tell us such bullshit.
Do not tell us that.
This person was so easy to troll. And this eventually got posted on Reddit, ironically saying, turns out old-fashioned Yakuza are alive and well in Japanese horse racing industry. They're sending goons to stop doujin artists from making drawings of Umamusume project characters. All of these events have resulted in this becoming a full-fledged meme. Whenever someone mentions, man, I'd love to draw these characters in lewd poses, someone always comes in and comments, hey man, you don't want to do that, the Yakuza's gonna get you. And while it's funny, it's gotten a lot of people to actually believe it, especially overseas. But the truth is that Yakuza doesn't own any of the horses and that gambling is heavily regulated by the JRA, the Japanese Racing Association. So no, if you draw lewd art, the Yakuza aren't going to knock on your door, but you might get a DMCA notice.
But just to be safe, keep a samurai sword under your bed.
From a lawyer.
Or a gun.
But regardless, Yakuza hiccups aside, this game was making bank.
Oh, yeah.
In 2021 alone, even though they released 1 month after the year had began in February, they had made over $1 billion. And by March 2025, they had made a total of $2.5 billion since release. This is an insane amount of money, but what's even more insane is that 90% or more of its revenue came purely from Japan. Cygames had the Japanese population in its chokehold. And as I mentioned, these weren't just young adults. There would be endless stories of people going on the metro, going to a restaurant, going outside, and seeing someone way older than them or way younger than them playing this game on their phone. It became cultural. But here's the thing, Japan, even though open to the rest of the world, still has a very particular market. Just because something is successful there does not mean in any way that it'll be successful anywhere else, especially when it comes to the topic of gacha games. So when it came to finally launching the game globally on June 26, 2025, more than 4 years after launching it in Japan, people didn't really know what to expect.
I feel like it's probably more understood now than it ever has been because people understand the Japanese culture a little bit more. So yeah, it's a lot of things are taking off here. Baby metal took off here a while ago, probably back in 2011. It's a train. I live in a great neighborhood. All right.
It was reasonable to think that it was going to just die out in a few months, with Japan continuing to be its main revenue source. Except what it did was inconceivable. It was absolutely dominating the Steam charts. As you saw in the intro, it became the #1 most downloaded game on Steam at some point, also becoming an instant success on mobile. But what's really interesting here is that it managed to recreate exactly what happened in Japan, but globally, which was not having a target demographic, reaching everyone equally. Here's a fun example. Northern Lion is a streamer who's 36 years old. He would not.
I know this guy specifically from a clip on YouTube of him playing Umamusume.
In any way be the target demographic of a game like Umamusume Pretty Derby. No way in hell. But his chat kept pestering him, please download the game, give it a shot, for the love of God, you'll love it. And eventually, he gave in. Now, Northern Lion is a pretty big streamer. He'll usually average around 15,000 viewers. But when he streamed Umamusume, he had reached his all-time peak of 40,000 live viewers.
Good for him.
And you know what the craziest part is? He absolutely loved it, okay? He fell in love with the game, the characters, everything. He even had Japanese players seeing some of the reactions from Western players thinking, wow, we got to up our
I saw this clip on Twitter as well.
Game because these guys are
really
way more passionate than us. Look at this.
Come on, Gold Ship, put it into high gear. I need all you got right now. The Kentucky Derby's on the line. Come on!
It was, with no exaggeration, taking over the entire internet. And it showed in the stock price of Cyber Agent, the parent company of Cygames, with its stock market price
60%.
going up like crazy. But why is that? How is this game such a success, so highly rated, both in Japan and overseas? We've established that the gameplay loop is fun, sure, but there are a lot of games like that. This isn't just a game at this point, it's a cultural phenomenon. So what was something that it did that other games weren't even close to achieving? Well, the horses. All right, so remember how I mentioned that this game's anime was praised for having immense attention to detail and world building?
Absolutely.
Well, the game was very similar in that regard too. Seeing that all these anime horse girls were based on real-life horses, Cygames did their homework and examined every single horse and its very specific personality, incorporating all these aspects into their anime character. But that's not all. When it comes to the world of Umamusume, many things in there were based on real-life locations, like racetracks and areas around it.
That's pretty cool.
We're talking anything from train stations to the convenience store where the horse girls buy their carrots. This wasn't just attention to detail. This was making landmarks out of IRL
really
locations
cool,
and attributing important history to them. Additionally, this world wasn't just made in like one evening. It made sense, and that's because its world building was very well made. Horse girls in this world are seen as a different type of species. They're treated as well as humans, there's no discrimination, and instead they have a real place in this world. With certain gadgets, for example, made specifically for them. Look at this extremely long phone. It's to accommodate her horse ear and her mouth.
That's
I mean,
funny,
look at
man.
this stupid seat right here. It's made specifically for horse girls so that they don't get uncomfortable.
I do like when things are well thought out like this. It's very good, very well done.
With their tails. There's even historical landmarks in the anime, like how there are Moai statues on Easter Island with horse girls. They even took famous Japanese horse racing paintings and converted them to accommodate the world.
Nice.
As you can see, these are horse girls racing here. So from a world point of view, this already made sense. The attention to detail was there. And so when it came to the actual personalities of each horse, guys, they couldn't have done a better job. For example, one of the most famous horses in Japanese racehorsing history is Goldship. This is a horse who ran 28 races and won 13 times. An incredible record. But what really made Goldship famous is that he was an absolute diva with the ridiculously unique and rage-baiting personality. In 2015, Goldship had a total of 12 billion.
I saw this clip. I saw the cartoon version where Goldship tries to jump the barrier, or tries to jump the the stable. I don't know what you call it. Yeah.
And betted on him.
That's funny.
People were confident that he would win just like he won his other races. What we got instead was the day known as the 12 billion yen incident when he would do this. Watch.
I'm watching.
He would simply refuse to race. Everyone would go except him. He didn't care. He just didn't feel like it, and so he didn't race, losing people 12 billion yen in bets.
Good.
Now, this is how Gold Chip would look in the game and in general in the Umamusume universe. They would recreate the same incident in the anime series. Watch. And just so you know, they brought back the same exact woman who was casting that day to voice in the anime. Guys, the attention to detail is ridiculous. So seeing that Gold Chip was an absolute diva, yet at the same time very skilled, Cygames made sure to incorporate that into Umamusume Pretty Derby. She'd be very skilled, very talented, and yet would have crazy mood swings, refusing to train.
That's
and
pretty
sometimes, even though having the best stats, would just refuse to race. Like, they're not giving a single shit. This eccentric personality would so accurately be translated into the game that it would create a new overseas fan club for this IRL horse. I mean, look at this. This is a video of Gold Chip in retirement, literally just hanging out. It has over 2.2 million views. This is just a horse hanging out for 2 minutes, not doing anything except fooling around. That's how much of a sensation he became because of this game and his history. I mean, look, most people would have just stopped there and moved on to a different topic, but not with me, you won't. Gold Chip's personality wouldn't just end with him being a diva. He would also be one of the most successful breeders, with a successful mating rate of 99.1%, having over 500 children, with a few of them becoming absolute champions. In fact, according to some stats, after he would finish mating with a mare, she would then refuse to mate with anyone else but Gold Chip. That's just how good he is, man. But I guess it also explains why he enjoyed it so much. He would swing his cucumber from side to side because of how excited he was. Okay, I know this is like a ridiculous amount of detail, but people look into this. That's how obsessed they are with Gold Chip. This isn't just because he was skilled or a massive diva, he was a rage baiter. Like the whole 12 billion yen incident, but also the fact that his trainers realized that, wait a second, in his retirement, he's running even faster than he used to run back when he was still a racehorse, making them realize that he never used his full potential while being a racehorse, almost as if on purpose to spite his trainers. This made people realize that horses aren't just creatures that we share a special connection with. They also have many unique and diverse personalities. Most people have a hard time seeing that though, because we don't really interact with horses that much anymore. So turning them into anime horse girls with proper world building around them made us finally appreciate their very deep and valuable personalities. And no one received more appreciation than the horse Haru Urara. You see, when she was young, she would go unsold at an auction. Seeing that no one wanted to buy her, she was entrusted to the cheapest racecourse to run in Japan. Her trainers thought that this would be a good chance for her to maybe win since she had a hard time training. But then she went on to lose 113 races in a row, never winning once. However, when she had lost her 87th race in a row, the race announcer, Koji Hashiguchi, would be absolutely shocked at this statistic. He was like, dude, this never happens. Most horses would have given up by now. They would have retired. So he sent her racing record to national media outlets thinking, dude, this is insane. You got to talk about this. And they did, which made her ridiculously famous. People started going in droves to where she raced, the Kochi racecourse.
That's really cool.
The wives of the jockeys, the people who rode the horses, took advantage of this and started making merchandise. And get this, at a certain point, people would go to this racecourse just to bet on Haru Urara, knowing very well that they were going to lose, but they would love that because then they'd use that betting ticket as a protective charm for car accidents. They believed that it held special powers, bro. You understand what I'm talking about here? This horse had superstitions made around it. I mean, this was such a big boom that Haru Urara had single-handedly saved the Kochi racecourse from going bankrupt. They were able to pay off all their debts thanks to her. And today, as you can see, Haru Urara is painted on the side here. That's how much of a legend she is. Seeing that she's in the game of Umamusume Pretty Derby, this prompted both Japanese and global players to select her to try and give her the win that she so very deserved in real life, making her one of the most popular characters in the game. This renewed attention from the global audience with their love for Haru Urara eventually allowed them to find out that they can send gifts to her in her retirement because she's still alive. They could send her...
I saw a bunch of these clips where people were sending her stuff, mostly hay and stuff. It's pretty cool.
some premium ryegrass directly. They sent
Ryegrass, sorry.
2.7 tons of ryegrass. Usually, one person could buy $40 worth, which is 5 kilograms. But people crashed the donation website, and now we're sitting at 2.7 tons. This is an image of this little cutie receiving her gifts, and it's prompted people to draw fan art of this phenomenon. I mean, look at how much ryegrass is in front of her. She has enough food until the end times. 2.7 tons, you're insane! In fact, thanks to this game and its renewed attention on these horses and their accomplishments, many of them, who are now in retirement, are receiving many donations, able to fully enjoy their older years. This is because this game didn't just make a lot of money and renew interest in horse racing, but it has single-handedly revitalized the entire horse racing industry globally, specifically in Japan. In the world of horse racing, sometimes, unfortunately, racehorses are not able to retire. This can happen for a number of reasons, but usually it's because there's not enough funding. Back when this game released in Japan, it fueled a movement of people donating to many of these famous retired horses, ensuring that they not only live a good life, but that they can continue to live in general. But retirement isn't fun if you just have money. It's also nice when you meet people, when you still interact socially. Many of these retired racehorses started receiving visitors, so much so that Umamusume had to release an official guideline on how to visit stables and what to do in order to be respectful. For famous horses such as Haru Urara or Goldship, visits sell out immediately as soon as they're posted. This has led some crazy, ridiculous fans to sneak onto the stable grounds sometimes just to see the horses, with Cygames completely denouncing that and saying you shouldn't do that, stop. But that wasn't all. Cygames was making a lot of money from this game, and they understood that there's a mutual benefit here. If horse racing thrives, they thrive too. And so the president of cyber agents, Susumu Fujita, has become a high roller when it comes to buying expensive horses and raising them for races, always being one of the leading buyers when it comes to horse auctions in Japan. So far, he has spent easily over $10 million making up his own fleet of racehorses, and he's not planning on stopping anytime soon. But this isn't just about Japan. This is about horse racing globally. In May of this year, they had announced a partnership with the 151st Kentucky Derby, the most watched and most attended horse race in the United States, taking place since the year 1875. And you had this anime girl horse racing game being their biggest sponsor.
That's pretty cool.
This also extends to Paris. As you saw in the intro, they're not just sponsoring the Grand Prix de Paris, but they're the main sponsor. And I mean, look, if you show me an image of horse racing, I probably would think, oh, cool. But if I was a young person and saw a poster like this, I'd think, whoa, whatever this is, I want this. Where can I get tickets? It's an extremely mutually beneficial partnership. Additionally, racehorsing merchandise has had a boom in Japan ever since the game had come out, truly turning this into an animal idol industry. These dolls, for example, they sell out like crazy. It's actually very hard to get them, especially if you're outside of Asia. Actually, I think they're keychains, but you get the point.
It's okay.
Cygames was essentially making a lot of money from this, but they were using it for good things, making this industry a better place, helping treat retired horses even better, and in general being a positive force in the community. This reminds me how at some point Hoyoverse, the creators of Genshin Impact, had invested in a nuclear fusion reactor, and in 2024 it became operational. Who would have thought that you spending money on characters in a gacha game was going to end up somehow in a nuclear fusion reactor in Singapore? Overall, this industry is revived. It's back. Audiences now feature women, young people, middle-aged people, demographics that horse racing usually wouldn't be able to reach. This has already been happening in Japan, and I'm sure it'll start happening globally thanks to this game. I can't help but laugh when I say this, but it's true. This anime girl horse racing gacha game has somehow been able to single-handedly revive this entire sport while somehow making the world a better place. It's crazy, but it's where we are today. I hope I was able to explain why this game took over the world and why it's continuing to, and I really appreciate you watching until the end. This is a fairly different video from what I usually do on my channel, but hey, I figured it would be fun. Now, the sponsor does want me to end this video with a message, so before I'll do that, I'll thank you again, say that I love you, and
I love you too, buddy.
See you next time. Thank you so much for watching. As a reminder, you can get 100.
Okay, I understand. Oh, hey, look, it's that one girl. Never give up, dude. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on your dreams. Yeah. Anyway, that was a lot of fun, man. I really do want to play the game now. I just have to find time. I'm a 41-year-old adult. I can't really find time for a lot of things these days. But maybe soon, hopefully. Anyway, Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe down below. It does help the channel. It does make me feel good about doing this in general. So, yeah. So, if you got any suggestions for any other videos, please put them down below. Trying to get to everything I can. So, thank you very much for watching. And I'm going to go with his thing and say I love you, even though I don't know you that well. And I don't really say it to a lot of people, but you and me. Okay. All right. Bye.